Hi. So in the previous video, we focused on creating custom objects, custom Java command, custom REST API, custom view components, custom actions. Basically everything was used inside the view designer, but inside Innovation Suite we have something more than the view designer. We have a rule designer and we have the process designer. So for example, if you look at the process designer, you can see that you have some objects, like you can create some you can create an entry, create a record, and you have some bricks that are giving you out of the box. But the thing is, pretty much like you can create your own view components or your custom action, you can create your own service or activity. You can create your own bricks that you can use inside your process, and you wouldn't see the difference. For example, your business analyst could use your brick inside a process, create another process using your brick. So think about it like we provide to you a Lego box, so you can build maybe 99% of your house. But if you want like maybe to go the extra mile and you want something very specific, you can create your own Lego brick and you can use it inside your house, for example. So that's what we provide to you. So in our case, here you can see that we have an update record, which is update record definitions that we provide out of the box. But here I have a generate password. This one is a custom service. Generate password. So if you remember the example I showed earlier, like I created a custom REST API that was accepting a username and was returning the username with comma and password. So I was generating a fake password. So in my case, I want to create a process, and when, for example, let's say I create a profile for someone, and I want to generate a password and send it to him, for example, here is the default password. And I want to trigger that when I save the record. So in this case, it wouldn't be at the UI side. I would like to do that on the backend inside the process. Maybe here it's very simple. I'm just generating the password, storing it, but maybe I would like to send a notification to the user to tell him, here is your password, welcome, here is your password. So how do we do that? So it's in two phases. So the first one is in Java side. A custom service is a Java class, like pretty much like we did with command and REST. So we have a class. So I will create a class simple service that implements service from BMC. This class is very simple. So you have an @action. @action is basically an activity. So you can give it a name. So that you will find here. So generate password. And you can define your action parameters. So in my case, I have one parameter, which is username, one input parameter. And I can find it here. I don't want it to be blank, I don't want it to be null, and I'm storing it inside username. So once again, I'm using my test.me class, which has just two methods, two properties, username and password. And I'm going to return this object, this class. So I will have two properties in this class, username and password. So I'm building username, I'm setting username, and I'm setting password as the username and comma password. And I would just want to return it. So from the username, I build the username and the password and sending it back. So once again, in my application.java, I have to register this service with register service and the name of the service, the class. And of course, I need to import it. And that's all you need to do. Once you do that and you import your application, your service is going to be available. So what happens is, for example, in my test, so it's on the custom service. When I am entering like a name, so James Bond, and clicking on save, you can see here that my latest record is James Bond with James Bond password. So how is that working? So first of all, I have a rule, because a process cannot be triggered by an event. We cannot say, well, when I save my record instance, when I save my record editor, I want to trigger this process specifically. So you need a rule for that. So the rule is going to be for test service, which is the name of the record definition here that I'm displaying. This is test service record editor. And so it's going to be sent when on create event. So when I'm saving a record test service, I want something to happen and I want to call a process. This process is custom service. And I'm passing as input parameter the current record. So the current record is basically what I'm saving right now. So here I have a record editor. When I click on save with a save action, I'm going to pass the record editor information with all of the data to the rule, and the rule is going to pass it back to the process. So inside my process, custom service, I have input variables. So the input variables is a record instance. You can give the name, it's just a name, which is an input. I want it required. Its type is a record, because I'm expecting a record instance. And the record is a test service. Then what I'm doing in my process is I'm passing to my custom service my username. So this is, as you can see here, the username. It's a parameter that the custom service is expecting. So that's why you have username here. So I'm just sending from my current record input, I'm just passing the username that the user typed here, username. And that's all it does. Then I'm saying, well, I want to store inside the record, I want to store the new password generating by my custom service. So here I'm saying that I want to update the record. I'm passing the record instance, so I'm choosing the process variable, so the record instance. And I want to map, in the input map field, I want to map the password field from test service, because I have username and password. So I want to map the password field with the password value. The password value is coming from generate password, the custom service, from its output. And I can find here the two properties from my class, so the username and the password. So I say, well, I want to store inside the password field the result of my custom service password. Then in my view, which is this one, so this one is just saving the record editor and just refreshing the grid on the right. So as you can see here, when I do this, the process will be executed. So it will generate the test password, it will update the record, and it will just display it. So that's how you create a custom service and you use it inside your process. So I could use it, I used it inside my process, but a service or activity can be used also inside the rule. You would find it here also. So that's how you create a custom service activity and how you use it inside Process Designer and Rule Designer. So of course here it's very simple, but you could do something way more complex, for example fetching more data using the Java SDK we provide, fetching data, doing calculation, doing some action and sending back something. So for example you could do like an interface with another system, something like that. And the good thing is once you create the brick, you can use it in whatever process you want. It becomes just a brick like another one from BMC out of the box.